Hello everybody, today I'm going to be covering another childhood game that I played and I finally beat. Well, not that it was really hard to beat, but you know when your kid kind of suck at games. And that is the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and sorry for doing this game instead of some of the other games I was recording and trying to work on. My Sonic series will be coming hopefully soon. I'm working on Sonic Unleashed already. It might not come soon enough, but it will be out there. So other stuff. Let me know what you guys like to see me do, because if you let me know, I will be able to do that one faster, knowing that if someone's out there who wants to watch it. Alright, so let me know down below, and if you really want me to do something, I have a Patreon where you can just give me money, because I need some money to buy some crunchy cookie M&Ms. Alright? Anyway, thank you for watching, and have a brain blast-tastic day. And that game is Jimmy Neutron Attack of the Twonkies, released for the Nintendo GameCube and PlayStation 2. There's also a GBA version, but that's completely different. For some reason, there is no Xbox version. In fact, there's no Xbox version of any of the Jimmy Neutron games, which is kind of strange. Did Jimmy just hate the Xbox? I have no idea. Since I had a GameCube as a child, I played this on the Nintendo GameCube, though there doesn't seem to be any main differences between PS2 or GameCube, other than console preference, I guess. I'm a GameCube guy, so of course I played on GameCube. The gameplay is pretty simple. You play as Jimmy Neutron, obviously, and through most of the game you're trying to get all the Twonkies, which are aliens, with your gizmo and gadgets that you invent by collecting different types of parts. It seems interesting, and it kind of is, but it's really not that in-depth. At the beginning of the game, you don't have any of this equipment, so you're just basically just walking around like a dumbass. Until you invent the two main equipments, one for locking up the small ones, and another one for making the big ones small. The gameplay is pretty basic. Jimmy has a double jump that doesn't really work that well. He has an okay jump at that, but there's really not a whole lot of platforming going on. Essentially, the game wants you to collect random parts, otherwise known as gizmo pieces, and other types of invention parts and blueprints in order to invent. Press the R button, and you get to go to your invent interface in order to see all the things you can invent. Super inventions are pretty much only used for boss fights. Inventions are main items, and gizmos are pointless, basically. And blueprints don't really seem to do anything other than, well, you can invent something. That's a super invention. Whip-de-fucking-do. Most of the gizmos you invent, like the scribble sneakers, are useless. There's only two that you actually will kind of need. Well, actually, one of them you have to use. One of them being the Attracto sneakers, which you only need for one small sub-episode. And the other is the sticky sneakers, which you'll only be needing for 2 boss fights, essentially, to not slip around. And that's it for gizmos. The rest are all cosmetic, and I would say cosmetic, but a lot of them just don't do jack shit but waste your battery life. In the top left of your screen, you'll have a health meter, represented by the Neutron, haha, as well as a battery icon. The battery is basically when you use inventions, including your main ones. It'll take up batteries, some takes up more than others. So you basically want to save that for, well, your main inventions. We can refuel both of them by finding batteries and health food waiting around for you, but it's not really worth it to make useless inventions like the Ultra Hair Slicker V2. During the 6th level, yes, 6th one, you'll invent the VDR, which is the thing you use to get the little baby Twonkies. This is where you'll see some similarities with the game Luigi's Mansion, as you'll use this, and in order to get them, you have to move the opposite direction on your joystick as the way they're moving, which is something that you might skip over, like I did as a kid, and just fuck around for years not knowing how to get them into it, and trying to get them into a corner, and having Jimmy fall on the floor. It's not hard, but if you're a stupid-ass kid like I was, you will fuck with it. Just move in the opposite direction, you should catch them, no problem. And the other main invention you'll definitely need is the Shinograph, which you can use to get rid of the medium and large size version of the Twonkies, which will pretty much always hit you, but it doesn't matter, there's just plenty of health items, because the game wasn't programmed that well, I don't know what to tell you. That one is just pretty non-specific. It can shrink them a little bit, and that's about it. The cool thing about the game, where they don't teach you this, and the tutorial is pretty terrible in this game, by the way, we'll get to that a little later, is that if you press the X button on your GameCube controller, or whatever button that correlates with PS2, you'll be able to swap freely between both of these inventions, which is very useful since you'll be using these like 90% of the time. So I bet you're wondering, what the hell is the story for this fantastic, amazing game with the weird Donkey Kong hair Jimmy Neutron? Like, seriously, how does his hair get like that? Jeez Louise. The story is that Jimmy wants to be cool and go to a comic called Twonkies 5 or something like that. But the principal is like, there's going to be a show, and I can't wait for all you guys to show up. Guess what? No one shows fucking up, and I don't know if that's even supposed to be intentional. See these kids in the background? Only 2 kids show up at the fucking concert. So anyway, Jimmy doesn't give a crap about that. He's got to go to his computer, who has an incredibly scary and creepy voice. Maybe it's just me, but this voice is very unsettling, and the tutorial part is pretty bad since it basically tells you dumb shit stuff. I know I was a dumb shit, but yeah, it's one of those things where it will tell you something and the voice just unsettled me as a child, so I guess I didn't really listen to it that well. I was like, what's the fuck supposed to do? Oh, just move the fucking C stick around. I just don't know why it's important to do this. Some of the stuff you just figure out by yourself. They don't teach you about the X button swapping the two main gadgets, by the way. I figured that out for myself. So fuck you, game. You're basically useless. Honestly enough, the tutorial of the game is probably the worst aspect, because when you're in Jimmy's lab, the whole thing is really dark for some reason. Like, it is hard to see what's going on, which is not at all what the rest of the game looks like. So I have no idea who thought this was a good idea, making Jimmy's lab dark as shit. It looks better in the video, but in game, there's no way to adjust the brightness, so just like a fuck you to the little kids playing it. You can also use your dog Goddard only in certain levels, and that would seem pretty unique because he has a unique moveset that you can use, but unfortunately it's very situational, and he's only able to be used in, well, 3 different levels. So what was the point of all these commands? I have no idea. The real question is, why does Jimmy have a desk way up in the balcony here, just standing there? Like, what was the point of having it there of all places? Oh well. Anyway, once you get enough pieces from your lab, you can finally go into outer space because you built your spaceship. And Jimmy says goodbye to his friends as he goes to a comet. I will say, graphically speaking, the game isn't too bad. It's not great or anything, but it does replicate the look of the show and all the voice cast from the shows there. It feels like an extended episode of said TV show. The next couple levels are basically micro levels, where you basically do a short little level until you get to the next one. So the main gameplay is getting the Twonkies, but it actually takes a while for that to even set up. Like, first you gotta do this basic shooter-up space adventure where you shoot rocks and go to the space station. Pretty basic. Apparently Jimmy doesn't have enough fuel to get to where he wants to go, so he's gonna steal it from an abandoned space station, which I don't think any space stations are abandoned, unless I'm proven wrong. Who knows, but I don't think so. This area is really just to showcase some basic platforming levels, which is fine, you know, it works. It is pretty dark up here. Like I said, early on, a couple early levels are pretty dark, but the rest of the game is not, so I don't know why that is. And I say dark, I mean actual dark. It's hard to see sometimes. And of course, we have to do a shitty puzzle that also never comes back, where you have to line up the lasers. It's not really fun, it's just shit. The whole time this is happening, after he does it, Jimmy's screaming about the anti-defenses thing turned off and asteroids hitting it. He's screaming like, I have to get off now, but there's no time limit. You can just spend as much time as possible here. So it's actually pretty funny how little the actual damage is going on, though you can't fall off, though there's no lives, so it doesn't really matter that much. But I do find it funny, the game's like, hurry up! But there is no actual time limit. In fact, I took my sweet time just trying to see if I missed anything. And by the time I entered the cutscene, he's like, Jimmy, I don't think he's about to die, about to explode, but nothing was really happening. Oh well, Jimmy's a hypochondriac. We then get another boring space shooter segment that doesn't last very long, and it's not very exciting, and overall it's not very good. I don't know why they just didn't scrap this entirely, since it barely takes up any time, but whatever. We are now on Twonkies 3, the only time we're going to be outside of Earth in this entire game. And the main goal is just to use Goddard to dig up crystals, and it's about it. Get used to seeing this cutscene, you're going to see it 4 more times. Well, 4 times total. You get a cool upgrade for your dog, where you're allowed to throw a robot bone to your robot dog, and it'll crash through some glass. Isn't that neat? Too bad it's only uses this one entire level. We're also getting our first useful item, the Reflecto Ray, which allows us to shoot through rocks, and it seems like a pretty good weapon. Fortunately, a lot of the items here are very fickle and only be used in certain areas, so this one, you know, it can't be used in multiple different areas, and it can't, like, defeat enemies or anything like that, because this game hates fun. I think the worst part about this level is that near the end, we get a cutscene of Jimmy sliding down a slide. Now, in most games, we would actually play this, but instead we get a cutscene of him just going, Yahoo! That would have been fun to play. Most slide areas are fun, but oh well, fuck me, I guess. We then get our first boss fight with this monster here being pretty mad that Jimmy ship's playing music. It's playing music so they can find it, basically, in case you're wondering. This boss fight is super easy. You really press Y and get the heck out of here! Hopefully nothing bad will happen! That was my amazing Jimmy Neutron impression. So Jimmy's happy, but his friends aren't, because Carl's allergic to animals.
And I got rejected from the school chorus because I'm terrible.
This game can be pretty funny at times. I cracked up when I heard that. Just he tries to sing, but he's fucking terrible, which is a plot point in this game, by the way. and this makes the Twonkie who looks really weird. Also, it turns out there's an alien life form that they call a Twonkie that Jimmy might accidentally brought along, but she doesn't care because they're playing this one song they'll hear over and over again throughout the game. Evolve into a bigger version known as a Gwomper or something like that, a Glocker, fucker, how about that? Oh yeah, just for this one Twonkie inside this one room, he's gonna spread around the entire town, which I guess seems pretty far-fetched, but you know, it's Jimmy Neutron. I didn't really know this, but I kind of did. But yeah, this is based off a Jimmy Neutron episode, which came out around the same time as the video game. Something happened in another Jimmy Neutron game called Jet Fusion. But yeah, essentially there were Twonkies in the actual show during the Season 3 premiere, which was a 2-episode kind of a movie thing going on with the Twonkies and stuff like that. They're slightly different, but they're mostly the same as the video game. And these guys did appear in future episodes in the background as a joke that there's one still out there. It's kind of, so I guess it makes sense. Whatever, there you go. For all those Jimmy Neutron fans, like, you didn't mention the episode. Well, here it is. I actually haven't seen it. Maybe it's good, who knows. So in order for Jimmy to get out of this classroom, he thinks of an invention. Not to get rid of the Twonkies, but to make a shrink ray. Alright, so we're gonna shrink them, right, because they're big? No, instead what he does is go to a mirror, points it at himself, and shrinks himself down. And, by the way, this is only used this one time. You can use it on the enemies, but it'll just shrink them very shortly. Like, very, very shortly, and then they'll grow back up. I don't understand that at all. Anyway, this is the level School Days, which is the longest level where we don't catch Twonkies. Here, Jimmy's trying to find parts and help free other students from their massacre. Also using his dog, which is pretty much just used for sneaking into other people's lockers, because Jimmy's an asshole like that way and breaks into people's lockers. Since Jimmy's a nerd, he decides to go to the library to do some research, but for some reason a random bully character, who I don't even remember from the TV show or movie, is there, and he hates Jimmy because he wants to give him a pummeling for some reason. This guy's the most stereotypical bully in the world, and he's very unfunny, but Jimmy's scared of him because he's a fucking pussy. Even though he has inventions that could kill this kid, he just doesn't care. So what's Jimmy's bright idea? Not to use a shrink ray or a light beam ray, no, but to throw books at him from above. But he has to time it just the right part, because, I don't know, this is just fucking stupid. And he cries like a bitch every time you throw a book at him. And if you miss, well, he'll pick it up and throw it at you. You're supposed to defeat the bully before going to the teacher's computer, because apparently they are the only one that has the access to information, not the other ones. It makes no sense. And you can do it, and the bully will catch you either way.
I warned you, Neutron. Now it's pummeling time!
I used to see this animation all the time as a kid, because I thought maybe if I tried hard enough I can do it. Also, I thought this animation where he gets thrown off the desk was funny as hell. It still is. There really isn't much to this level. You go to the lunchroom and capture some blue Twonkies. Don't ask me why they're different colored, they just are. And no, the colors don't seem to mean anything. Once you're done the level, the principal will scream like a little bitch, because he is a little bitch, and just run around like crazy the whole entire time. This is the last time we see this character, by the way, so don't say goodbye to him now. Leading to the next level, we're actually introduced to Jimmy's house, where you can go into his parents' bedroom and see the kinky stuff they're into, which if you've seen the show, you know they're into pretty kinky stuff. Of course, Jimmy finds some blueprints, and maybe he doesn't want to see what's on them. But yeah, fortunately we can't leave the house because we need to invent something to get rid of the Twonkies once and for all, which is the main gadget I talked about earlier. Also, for some reason, Jimmy's dad was locked in the garage, but didn't know he was locked in the garage, and then shut the door on his son. I don't remember his dad being that dumb in the show, but apparently here he is that dumb. Okay. But luckily for us, we can invent our way out of there by getting the new Twonkie gun, or whatever the hell it's called. Once you do this, our MILF of a mom will let us outside. Here we're given more of an open area, however, unfortunately most of the neighborhood looks pretty identical, other than the Jean's house, which has a giant Ultralord mailbox in front of it. So yeah, we give it a little bit more range, but there's basically not much to do other than get rid of these Twonkies. Then you don't really use any other gadget, just pretty much just rinse and repeat. It's mind-boggling, simplistic, but it's fine, I guess. Nothing terrible here. So we have to save Sheen, but he saves himself by singing badly, because these monsters turn big because of good music, but bad music makes them go back being small. And this gives Jimmy a brain blast. Not the brain blast you're thinking. Jimmy doesn't want to brain blast Sheen, he has a brain blast in his brain. Using a CD of Sheen's voice, he uses it to make all the big Twonkies small. Yes, that's literally how he defeats them. So Jimmy acts like an asshole after doing this to Cindy, because that's just how they're written in the show. Don't ask me, that's just how it is. She's like, fuck you, bitch, my party's ruined. Well, apparently she had a party I wasn't aware of. And it's at the playground. This is our first real boss. We're going to need a super invention, which you already have invented in the last episode because you're forced to, which will just shoot lightning back at this guy in his thunder, and you can shoot stuff from the seesaw at him. It's pretty easy, and there's not much to it. It takes a while, it's not very fun. Most of the bosses here are just pretty repetitive. And yeah, in order to do the seesaw, you just have to figure that out for yourself, because the game doesn't tell you jack shit. It gave us a tutorial about how to use a C-stick, but actually things that might be a little more complicated, it tells you fucking nothing. In the next level, we are in Main Street, where the Twonkies, of course, are attacking everywhere because there's a lot of sound down here. It's a city. It makes perfect sense. The level here is pretty nice. It's easy to find your way around. Everything has a nice landmark, so it's definitely one of the better levels. And there's not really much to it. There is one pretty cool invention that you only use once, though. You don't keep it. And that is a jetpack, which you only use for this one section, and one bonus scheme at the end for some reason, which controls a little ass, but it is fun. It'd be great to explore other levels with this thing. But after a cutscene where you save Cindy, he just fucks up, like, oh, and his thing gets destroyed, I guess. And yeah, we don't get to use it again. Well, that sucks. Other than that, you go to the music store and help some people there, and that's pretty much it. In the next level, we go to the park, because of course there's more stuff going on there. Some weird dweebs running around with a bandstand that's pretty fucking annoying throughout the entire first part of the level. He doesn't stop even after you defeat everybody. He's a fucking asshole. Fuck him. In one of the sections, we have to guide llamas. Yes, llamas into the pen, because Carl loves llamas, and in fact is riding one. And is this a park or a zoo? I don't fucking know. Apparently it's both. Oh, in one section we have to mow the lawn. You thought I was kidding, but Jimmy is doing manual labor because there's holes in the grass, and that's going to reveal some of the Twonkies. Okay. You will be immediately thrown into the next boss, the Frozen Lake boss here, who throws icicles. This guy is a pain in the ass. This boss is super unfun. You pretty much have to get lucky. Not only do you have to use the sticky shoot, which make you feel slightly better on this ice, but feels entirely unnecessary. And for the most part, you have to aim and charge it up in order to get it just right. And they don't tell you about that either. Each of these super inventions are in the first one. You have to charge up in order to get it just right. And you have to do it just the right angle. And it's very fickle. And of course, the guy will keep throwing fucking icicles at you constantly. And just very not fun. Overall, this boss fight took me way longer than it should have. It just does not feel very well. And it just feels very luck-based, which is never fun. Anyway, the next level, we're in a theme park where we get to ride one ride. Yeah, very fun. And basically use guns to shoot off stray Twonkies up in the billboards, as well as trying to get tokens later on, because we need to save a masked guy dressed up as Ultra Lord, my savior. This one definitely throws in more of the bigger Twonkies compared to the small ones, but other than that, this level isn't too hard. It does have a nice aesthetic. I do like my theme parks, I cannot lie. And you can even go into an IQ test where Jimmy gets mad because it only says he has 90 and he gets pissed off. But the worst part of this level is not the fact that Jimmy has a 90 IQ. It's forcing yourself to play arcade games. There are 5 games to play here, and you have to get the high score on at least 4 of them in order to get enough tokens. And this is very repetitive. It's like that Donkey Kong 64 Donkey Kong game, where basically you're playing basic versions of classic arcade games, but with a Jimmy Neutron spin. Like there's just an Asteroids clone, which is pretty easy to beat. And like I said, you have to beat the high score, which is not as easy as just playing a couple of levels. Some of them are a lot harder than others, per se. One of the weirder ones is where you have to play a breakout game with llamas and weird scientists, where the main goal isn't really breaking out all the fences here, it's just breaking just the one little animal at the top there. And this one's pretty fine. I played a lot of breakout variants and games similar to it, so this one wasn't very difficult for me either. The next game, Ultra Lord Rampage, is just berserk. Yeah, these arcade games are very creative. This one is incredibly easy to beat. You just shoot at the robots and they shoot out very short or very slow laser beams at you, so of course it's going to be super easy to beat. So there is nothing dangerous going on here. But you can also do DDR, which Jimmy is doing a pretty bad job of. Anyway, one of the other arcade games is basically Frogger, both a squirrel and nuts. I don't know what this is a reference to. Why is it a squirrel? Why is the background remind me of that Disney movie The Wild? It was the Madagascar ripoff. You remember The Wild? The next one is pretty neat, as it's a reference to the Jimmy Neutron movie with the yokai, I believe that's what they're called. Or yokani, or whatever they are, the weird green guys from the first film. It's Space Invaders, but with them. This is easily the worst arcade game, though, because it's super easy to die and the high score is ridiculously high, so I recommend not playing this one, even though it is a pretty neat reference. Anyway, once the level's done, Jimmy gets to go on a roller coaster, which I remember the one in the show, right? I remember Carl and Sheen rode in, got stuck in the loop-de-loop. Luckily, Jimmy does not get stuck in the loop-de-loop. Anyway, this is the roller coaster boss. He is pretty stupid. You gotta use this new ultra invention, or whatever the fuck it is, in order to put light under him, but also can create platforms on the purple sludge for some reason. There's also roller coasters that are occasionally there, and also he heals himself. All this is to say that if you get him in a corner here, you just literally just spam him constantly with the same item by charging it. You have to charge it, and you will win. I do not know why they made this a very annoying but also super easy as possible. It's like, once you get him in a corner, he's super easy to beat, but if you don't, he's fucking annoying as shit because he heals himself. But other than that, this sucked. This is just a terrible boss fight. The boss fights here suck. Anyway, we're on one of the last main levels, Radio Station Rampage, where Jimmy thinks he's going to find the last of the Twonkies. In here, we go through different hallways to find all different types of Twonkies inside this radio station, try to save the people who work in there. Most of this level is filled with jokes, like every time you find one of the Twonkies, there's like, "Oh, he's a bad secretary, I gotta stop him!" Or the Twonkies will be having a board meeting. It's pretty funny, actually, I like that. This level is also like a maze of how many of the doors look exactly the same, so it can be pretty tedious to get through in order to find every single last one of them. Overall, I wouldn't say this level is one of the best ones, it's probably a weaker one, but it does have a pretty interesting aesthetic, and there is some funny little things going on here. And yeah, that's it, that's the final level. Jimmy and his friends get a backstage pass because of this to see a band the school was hosting, which was a big deal earlier, and everyone wanted to see them. So of course, you expect to see all the other characters we've seen already. But just kidding, it's just Jimmy and his friends watching this band who has a female singer, but the song is male-led. I do not understand that. Also, Jimmy leaves his backpack full of Twonkies he's supposed to deliver Twonkies for because he wants to hear this singer not sing the actual song. Jimmy's an asshole. Luckily there wasn't our kids there because his backpack explodes for all the Twonkies he caught. And yeah, those radio station ones were quote-unquote the last ones, which they weren't. And we get the final boss. That's his name. I'm not making that up, it's literally just the final boss. And this guy is pretty much the easiest version of all the other Twonky bosses, even though he's supposed to be a combination of all of them. First, he starts off as the ice variant, where you just basically mash the button just to shoot at him with the ice gun. And yeah, since you get up a lot closer to this guy than you could with the actual ice guy, you pretty much just go close to him, and you just at least hit the button multiple times, and he will die. Just use that technique, alright? Though he does swap. This electric version, you can't really do much other than just use it once underneath him, and that's pretty much it. Then the guy will go on to the roller coaster version of the guy, and he doesn't heal this time, at least I don't think. I haven't seen him do it, and he was pretty easy. But yeah, this final boss is pretty easy, and that brings us to the end of Attack of the Twonkies. They all celebrate Jimmy here, even though all these people weren't even here before. They just randomly show up, even though Jimmy kind of caused the problems in the first place. Also, THQ Australia is in the background, so we now know who to blame for making this game. And this is literally how it ends, just like, yeah, you're doing a good job, Jimmy! Yeah, but maybe I didn't! Much like in the TV show episode, except not as good. One of the Twonkies jumps out of one of the backpacks, and it's just on the run. That's how it ends. Just like that. Okay, what a shit ending. And then you get the credits, and yeah, that's it. I like how more of the characters appear in the credits than the actual end game, but whatever. There is bonus material, but not a lot. Even though the period lady execute unlock a lot of stuff, you really don't. There's only 4 little things you unlock. Artwork, movies, which are just promotional stuff, as well as a bonus level. Now the bonus challenges are just the arcade games. The bonus level is only one level, right, to use the rocket pack, which is pretty cool, where you race against Sheen and Carl, and that's it. It's very short too. You only go for a couple star rings through the main level, which is pretty easy to get through since we're in a rocket. If only they did more of these, it would have been fun. But no, just this, and once you beat it, you're done. And that's it, nothing else. Now, do I recommend this game? Well, not really. It really depends on the person. I think the cutscenes are kind of fun, even though the ending is shit, and they really doesn't deliver very well, especially early on. It seems to have pretty high production. And graphically speaking, the game doesn't look too bad. If you're a fan of the series, you might have some fun. It's overall pretty mindless, but not bad. Nothing really horrible here. Just all around okay. It's a 6 or maybe a late 7 at most, but it's pretty easy to get your hands on. That's the only good thing I can say about this. Though if you want to play a Jimmy Neutron game, there might be better. I haven't played all of them, though I think the Jimmy Neutron versus Jimmy Negatron on the PC is pretty good, even though that one's a little harder to run than this. The game price is pretty cheap, with only a $12 complete and $9 loose, so finding it complete on GameCube, which is a console notorious for its high prices, is pretty easy. And same goes for the PS2, with a more cheap price, $6 loose and $8 complete. So overall, it's really up to you, since there's not much of a price difference there. The PS2 is a little cheaper. Depends on your console preference, alright? And yes, there is a GBA version of the game, however, I do not have it, so I can't really talk about, well, its quality, whether or not it's good. You can see it's more of a 2D platformer with a lot of the elements from the main game. This one could be better than the main game. I do not know. I do not own it. It is cheaper than both of them. So if you want to give it a try, give it a try. Maybe one of these days if I ever get it, I might review it, but that'll be all on you. If you guys like what I do, make sure you subscribe and like my video, by the way. And that is the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and sorry for doing this game instead of some of the other games I was recording and trying to work on. My Sonic series will be coming hopefully soon. I'm working on Sonic Unleashed already. Might not come soon enough, but it will be out there. So other stuff. Let me know what you guys like to see me do, because if you let me know, I will be able to do that one faster, knowing that if someone's out there who wants to watch it. Alright, so let me know down below, and if you really want me to do something, I have a Patreon where you can just give me money, because I need some money to buy some crunchy cookie M&Ms. Alright? Anyway, thank you for watching, and have a brain blast-tastic day.